We are recording.
Good morning. Call to order the March 13th, 2025 regular meeting of the City of Binghamton Traffic Board. The chair, Deputy Mayor Megan Heeman's unavailable on leave, so I'll fill in as chair for this meeting. First matter will be approval of the prior minutes from the prior meeting.
Motion.
Second. Next order will be new business. First issue is applicant Leighton Blackwood regarding 97 Court Street, request for no parking commercial loading zone designation in front of Chroma's Bakery.
Chief, I'm sorry, we do a public comment first.
Oh. Sorry on the order of things. I need public comment before the traffic board today. Go ahead, please. Just ask that you state your name and matter that you're speaking on.
Good morning. My name is Nicole Hurlbert. I oversee the Creating Healthy Schools and Communities grant housed at the Broome County Health Department.
And my name is Devin Link, and I'm also on the Creating Healthy Schools and Communities grant.
So we were just going to we were asked to come here to provide a quick overview of our grant. We do have 4 initiatives under the Creating Healthy Schools and Communities program. The one that is most relevant to the Traffic Safety Board would be our Physical Activity and Access initiative. I'm going to have Devin explain a little bit more about that initiative.
Yeah, so we call it the PAA strategy, and this focuses mostly on accessibility and walkability in the community. So we actually have a contract. I think it's been officially approved now with the City of Binghamton for 3 main projects. This is going to be the pedestrian safety initiative at the Oak Street intersection with the Binghamton High School, some benches along the 434 Greenway, and then also potentially wayfinding signage and repairs to the trail inside of Recreation Park. We know that there have been some miscommunications about those projects and questions, so we wanted to come here and answer any questions that people may have, and then also just provide some more detail. So first, does anybody have any questions about what we're planning on doing?
Last night, City Council voted to accept the grant money. And at last night's meeting before the vote, I outlined what I received from you and what I received from the superintendent of Binghamton City Schools in support of a raised crosswalk.
Okay, so if we don't have any questions, then we can just speak a little bit about what each project is going to be. So we're both new on this grant as of this past summer. So all 3 of these projects were pretty much identified already before we had come on. So we're trying to wrap them up in this grant year, which ends this coming summer. The only new project is going to be the 434 Greenway benches. That was identified to us by an elected official at the state level. She said that a lot of the elderly citizens here want to walk across the Greenway, but aren't able to because of mobility issues, and there aren't anywhere to really rest along the Greenway. So that's why those benches were brought to us. When it comes to Oak Street, that was identified to us because it can be dangerous for the children going to Binghamton High School to get across the street, and there's no identified crossing right now. So under the recommendations of the MTS and then our own internal study as well, we proposed a raised crosswalk. We hope to get student involvement through that. We plan on doing a whole education event and an art contest. That way we can decorate the crosswalk a bit to try to get that buy-in from the students and get that engagement and education. And then for the recreation park, this one's not our top priority for the grant. That's going to be more if there's extra funding available that we want to use. our grant isn't technically allowed to work just within the confines of the park, which is why that wayfinding signage was brought up. When we say wayfinding signage, like it will say like recreation park this way, but the intent of that is more to encourage physical activity. So it can have information on it like 300 steps from this point to recreation park or a mile marker to try to encourage that physical activity and get the children excited about going to a park to do some activity after school instead of going straight home and like going on their devices, for example.
I just want to add that as a part of our grant, we are required to do assessments of all of these projects. They are not as intensive as like say BMTS, like a full-blown study would be, but that is built into our grant program. And as far as the Oak Street project is concerned, the school district has contracted with Passero, which is a firm out of Albany, to conduct I would say more intensive study on the intersection and the recommendations that would provide the safest options. Ideally, which we're still kind of communicating and working with the school district, ideally, we would be able to utilize that study to conduct some sort of pre and post assessment to identify if the raised rubber crosswalk would be the best fit for a permanent solution there at that intersection.
I have a traffic board question. So with something like this raised crosswalk, is that something that we're gonna eventually have to vote on and approve? And given the timeline, so I believe the money has to be spent out by May.
Our grant ends May 31st. Ideally, would be completed prior to that, but that's our deadline.
So before that type of intervention would go into effect, it would have to come here. We meet monthly. So we're looking at kind of almost mid-April. Does that fit with your timeline? And if not, is there a way to get extra traffic board meetings? Not directed at you. That's directed at the more experienced body.
If it doesn't fit their timeline, if the regular meeting doesn't fit their timeline.
Does traffic board
Repeat
definitely have to
what,
approve that?
Was just said.
Does traffic board have to approve the installation of the crosswalk, raised crosswalk?
I believe traffic board does have to, they have to approve new crosswalks.
The prior conversation that was not on the mic was that we can, as long as we get a quorum, put in a special traffic board meeting to deal with this if something needs to happen to make the grant work.
I think that the mid-April would work if it's approved at that date, but it would be a pretty tight turnaround. But if we're able to get everything done on our end before that, and you guys are able to approve it at that April meeting, it should work, as long as it works with the school too. I know that they can install it when the children are like in school, so we were hoping to go over their spring break. I think that ship has sailed. But as long as it works with the school, I think we're able to get it to work.
And we were also informed by the school that the preliminary results of the study should come in at the end of March, beginning of April. We were hoping to be involved in the conversation with the initial meeting with the firm to kind of hash out some of these details. I'm not sure if that has occurred and happened yet. But, we were under the understanding that it would be a 45-day study. So again, just not as familiar with the timelines at this point.
So we're looking at 45 days, we're approved, come back. We'll do the meeting. Let's say everything gets approved, 45 days worth of study. How long do you think before work starts happening? If we're approved?
That's a good question. I think I would defer that to planning. We've been working with Sarah Glose to kind of arrange the installment of the projects.
I'd just like to work, if there's any other work that needs done on Oak Street, I could kind of tie it in so it's just all together and we can have one nice looking street instead of doing this year, doing this 2 years down the line, just kind of So we're not walking over each other. Okay.
Absolutely, yeah. And, our grant can't fund the installation. That's something that, City of Binghamton is responsible for. We're able to make the materials purchase and, ideally they would be installed before the grant year ends, but there is a little bit of flexibility. So as long as the purchase is made, with the intent that it would still be installed and then tied into the other projects, then that would be something we could talk with our grant manager about, but I'm sure it would be okay.
Thank you.
Any other questions or discussion? Anything else you'd like to provide?
I don't think so.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah,
Thank
thanks
you.
for having us.
Any other public comment on any issues? Good morning. If you would, please state your name and the issue that you're speaking on. You, the green button, if you push the button, it should be green and you should be good to go.
Okay, thank you. Technology is not my thing. My name's Marlene Lawson. I live at 105 Chapin Street, and I'm here to request, beg, plead, whatever. We need a stop sign on Leroy Street at the Chapin Street intersection. I was part of the walk, and I tried to explain nicely but forcefully that you cannot see at that intersection. You can't see oncoming traffic from Leroy. Chapin, where I am, is a one-way street. The only way I can legally take my car off my block is to go to that intersection. I don't have the option of going the other way. And since the city has welcomed all the students into my neighborhood, there is a solid line of cars on Leroy between Chapin and Murray, which is the next street down. You can't see through cars. I was told I've talked to the police many times, and finally found out that you were the people I need to talk to. And I was told that, well, they can't park in the driveways and you should be able to look through the driveways. You can't see through the driveways. It's physically impossible. And more often than not, the students also park in the driveways, a lot of them parking across the sidewalk. So, I mean, even if you were able to see through the cars the way they were parked, you can't see through a physical car blocking the sidewalk. I walk, I drive, I have a dog, we walk a lot. And I don't know what I can tell you other than that we need to have the traffic stop at that corner. There have been several accidents. There have been 2 more accidents that I know of since this was done at that corner. The study made a point of that it was during the daytime. Well, maybe because at night, if people are driving properly with headlights, which you hope they are, that you can see headlights underneath, but you can't see the oncoming traffic. It is absolutely impossible. When I'm walking the dog, I mean, we've had to jump back out of the street many times, and we're careful. I don't just willy-nilly cross. I know not to do that. But you can't just jump out of the way if you're in a car. And the things that were suggested as ways to fix it in the study were raising the intersection, putting a little circle of plants or something in the middle of the intersection, or putting, I forget the term, but on Grand Boulevard, you've got those extensions at a couple of the corners, doing something like that. None of that impacts the visibility of oncoming traffic. It doesn't. It's spending a lot of money for something that isn't going to work and isn't going to help. And it was suggested that putting a stop sign is going to lead to road rage. And we don't want to do that. Well, it's a safety thing. And I don't know what else to say. You know, I mean, I try to obey the law, and as I say, I mean, I go the proper way on my one-way part of the block, but the way there's just enough of a curve, and it has nothing to do with trees and bushes or fences. You can't see the road, and you can't see oncoming traffic. When nobody's parked there, it's fine. But most of the time when the students are here, you can't see. That's.
Yeah, I would agree. There's congestion down in that section of Leroy Street. Mr. Martinez, specific to the study that was conducted, would you need to make an application to the traffic board to direct or request specific police review or study of that intersection?
Yeah, if the stop sign she's requesting is not part of that study, if it falls outside of that study, she should submit an application requesting a stop sign at that location.
It's, the
So
discussion she's referring to is right here in the study. This is Chapin Street and Leroy Street.
But did the study recommend a stop sign at the location
They-
that she's requesting it?
It was the backup. It's basically the last step if the other interventions don't improve things for the study.
So the study was suggesting that we spend thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars for things that will not work because none of that will fix the fact that you can't see through cars. I'm not Superman. I don't have X-ray vision. Maybe somebody on the traffic board does. I don't know, but I don't. And I mean, to go through all the expense of all these other things that aren't going to fix the problem, rather than spending a couple $100 putting in stop signs.
So
I just don't understand this.
the police department can speak to what action was reviewed by the traffic division and what actions were taken in furtherance of that. Sergeant Mucic, if you have something on that.
So yeah, we done with this intersection. We extended no parking here to corner from 30 to 50 feet on the west side to alleviate that. We installed the oversized, I believe, stop signs on Chapin Street, or we did that reflective on a post. Every accident that happened on there is the people failing to stop for the stop sign coming from Chapin Street. So it's not all the accidents, it's not suggesting that they're caused because it's the site issue or anything. We kind of corrected that. It's caused by people not stopping on the existing stop signs on Chapin Street to Leroy.
May I suggest to you, sir, respectfully, that you can stop and not see, and it looks like there's nobody coming, and then it looks like you haven't stopped. Do you understand what I'm saying?
The accidents that we have, it's people completely failing to stop for the stop sign on Chapin Street. It's not that they stop, inched out, look for traffic and they go. It's people completely disregarding, and that's them admitting to it, that they never stop at the stop sign. So every accidents that we have so far in that intersection is the people failing to stop for the stop sign on Chapin Street.
Well, some of us stop religiously and inch forward.
Yeah,
And
I mean,
we've been like this close to getting clobbered. Being careful, respecting the law and the stops and all of that. And
I understand that, but 90% of intersection in the city are like that. They're city intersections. They're never designed to have volume of the vehicles that we have right now. Like I said, we extended the no park here to corner from 30 feet to 50 feet, just so you have a little bit more visibility. We had the owners of the property in the corner cut down the shrubs, just so in the summertime you can actually see on the right side. I mean, that's what we have done so far. I'm not aware of any accidents that happened since we did this implementation. We can take a look at it again, but
I'm living in my grandparents' house. They bought the place in like 1951, 52, sometime in there. I don't recall. I've been living there since 93. When we were first there, I mean, it was, you had to be careful. But now you can be careful and it's impossible to see because there's too much traffic and there are too many cars parked. And the city has welcomed all these students and this overpopulation into an area that was never made for that. The infrastructure isn't made for it. We won't go into all the plumbing and stuff that goes on over there because this isn't your concern. But I will lay you odds, there's no place else in the city that has that kind of traffic all the time and that number of cars in this little space. You can say that all the intersections in the city are like this, but and maybe in terms of stop signs and through streets, that's true. But further towards the west side, you don't have the number of student cars and traffic. I mean, I don't drive all that much over on in that area, but when I do, and I stop at the stop signs and I can see, and I don't have lines and lines of cars blocking my sight. And I'm 75 years old. I should not have to move out of my home where I have made gardens and added to my grandmother's gardens. And it's home. It's home to me. And I don't know what to say to you. I'm sure this is not what you're intending to say. I hope you're not intending to say it, but what I'm hearing is, you know what? We really don't give about you and your issues because we have to have students and we have to have whatever and
So ma'am, I can certainly understand what you're telling us and appreciate your frustration with the issue. I can't speak to student housing or the density of student population in that neighborhood. Specific to the traffic board and the concerns of the police department is that of safety in that area, be it the motoring public, pedestrians, and the overall safety of the neighborhood. What I could suggest is if there's specific things that you suggest or you feel are worthy of consideration or study, would be to request those specifically of the traffic board, aside from the study or in addition and above and beyond what was implemented already or what measures were taken to try to make that a safer area, to put those before the traffic board in a formal application or review, whether you think it's additional stop signs or a four-way stop well, it would be a three-way on the one-way. Or whatever you feel would be worthy of further review by the police department and the traffic board is to put that forward in a official manner so that it could be looked at again, readdressed and try to rectify it to make it safer and more manageable there.
It would be four-way stop because we're already stopping on our. part
Past
of
the one-way. Okay.
And the oncoming traffic is two-way
Okay.
from the other side of
Chapin.
Chapin.
Okay.
I have a question. When we did the study and we went on the walk, we saw people parking in the no parking here to the corner.
Oh, that
Right.
happens all the time.
So we've talked about that intervention, but I think the follow-up question is the enforcement of it and the bandwidth for enforcement of it. Because we can make all the signs we want, but if people are still parking in those spots, it doesn't help with the fight.
Sure.
I-
The police department can certainly take a proactive step to enforce the posted parking there. And if you see a particular violation, then call. We have parking enforcement officers. We have postcards as they're available for parking enforcement. So if that's contributing to the overall condition of that intersection and safety concerns, then call on those violations. And so the officers can address them, issue a parking ticket, have the vehicle removed, whatever is appropriate.
The additional no parking here to corner helped this much. Okay, it's the cars, I mean, once they get that close, you can see that there's somebody coming, you don't start going through the intersection. But it's the ones who are down in the middle of the block and towards the corner that you can't see. And those are the ones that you look and you look and you look, and I know, I look both ways several times, not just a quick scan in one direction, because I know. But you can't see what's over here by the bus stop. And in the time it takes you to turn your head and start forward, the people who are there that you couldn't see are on top of you. I mean, I've had to jump back out of the way when I'm walking, but I can jump back easier than I can reverse my car. And I don't know, I've walked over to City Hall from where I live and tried to talk to traffic several times, and I was finally found somebody there who said, well, you can look through where the driveways are. You can't see. And that's assuming that they're not blocking the sidewalk, which they do a lot. I just requesting another study. I'm sorry, just doesn't address the fact, and you're getting tired of hearing me, and
No, I'm not getting tired of hearing you. I'm asking the sergeant his availability to meet with you personally there at the location or send his assigned traffic officer to make an appointment and to meet with you in that neighborhood to discuss your concerns and see what we can do to address those.
Well, I mean, to me, this, and I know, and people don't always obey the stop signs. I mean, I have seen left turn on red at the corner of Leroy and Chestnut a couple of times recently. So, I
Okay,
mean,
sir.
I know signs and lights don't automatically make people obey the law, but it would help the odds a little bit.
Sure. Sergeant Mucich, before you leave, will provide his information so he can contact you or you can contact him and set something up that's mutually agreeable to work towards a solution or make it safer there.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Do I need to
Oh, you're good.
turn that off?
Any other public comment on any issues? Morning, sir. If you could just state your name and the issue you're speaking on. Could you hit that button? The green light should appear. Thank you.
Tom Griffin, I live on Union Street. I'm not familiar with the process here. If you're gonna talk about,
That's an agenda item, I think, of the Arena Street in regards to review of on-street and alternate side parking rules.
correct, yeah,
So Mr. Martinez, is that out of order?
He could speak now.
Okay.
Are you,
I'd
is he,
prefer to-
are you the applicant? Did you submit the application for review? Of the
I
arena?
put a letter along with many neighbors.
Okay, so I mean, you could speak now or you could present when that item comes up on the agenda. It's up to you.
Okay, I'd like to hear what you guys have to say, because I've submitted this. I'm assuming it's been read.
Only some people in the traffic board receive it. So for example, you're in my district, but I didn't actually receive information about it. I'm going to be learning about it today during this meeting.
Okay,
So yeah,
I'll wait.
but you're always welcome to email me directly as well if you have any issues,
Well,
since you're in my district.
Don't know who these went to.
Yeah, no, I
Several,
get that. I
so-
get that. It's not clear through the online forum who actually receives the information in
I can
advance.
come back next month too.
Any other speakers on non-agenda items that wish to make public comment? Okay, then we will move on with new business. The first agenda item is applicant Blackwood in regards to 97 Court Street, request for no parking, commercial loading zone designation in front of Chroma's Bakery.
Doesn't look at the applicants here.
Okay,
Uh,
I do not have anything on that specifically.
you could,
I'll mention that I know that a request for a parking study came before council recently on this past Monday to review all of basically downtown parking and to look particularly at the needs relating to like all the new drop-off pickup services and how that's impacting parking downtown. That loosely relates to this, so I thought I'd throw that out there, that the city is looking at a comprehensive study of curbside management and parking for these types of issues.
Okay, with that said, then I have not seen anything on that particular issue. I guess I'd look for a motion to table it.
Motion.
Second,
Motion to table. We'll move on to Stephen Janeski regarding Prospect Street, on-street parking causing visibility issues, particularly at Wilson School. Is Mr. Janeski present? Any discussion from the board on that matter? Make a motion or look for a motion to table that matter.
Motion.
second,
Motion's carried. Rosemary Arlequin regarding Neeland Avenue and Riverside Drive. Request for a left turn signal on the eastbound lane of Riverside Drive for vehicles turning onto Neeland Avenue. Is she here? Okay, I know there was some action taken by the traffic division in regards to that. If you could update us.
So it is a left turning lane, designated lane, and we did update, we had the DPW install a left turn sign at the street sign above, right?
yeah, we put it next to the signal hanging, we didn't put it on the side of the road, just better,
Because there's no
right?
visible. Did not see the request. I know it says for the left turn sign, so I'm not sure if they're requesting the arrow, like green arrow signal or something, but I haven't seen.
I think, yeah, they want an actual arrow to turn that way. I frequent this intersection several times a day.
Yeah.
I personally don't see the need for a signal for that. That's my personal feeling on it. I haven't studied it in depth. I think that the signage we have and the lane that we have should be more than sufficient.
And unless there was something new that came up, we did look at this and looked at the general turning movement counts that would potentially warrant a protected left, and it wasn't something that would be recommended here based on the traffic.
Any other discussion from the board on that issue? I guess I'd look for a motion based on BMTS's study and what was appropriate traffic control for that intersection to deny that at this point.
Motion,
I'll second.
Okay, motion's carried.
we gotta vote.
All those in,
I'm sorry. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay. Motion carried. Next issue is applicant Misty Borman regarding Varick Street, review of on-street parking, alternate side parking rules. Any information or discussion from the board on that matter? I'm not sure what the specific issue was there at that location. I don't have any prior notice of that applicant's information. I said, look for a motion to table that matter. More information can be presented and be reviewed later.
Motion,
Second.
I'm sorry, Mr. Martinez, what was that? It's approved, or you have to ask for nays or what?
yeah, you need the vote.
Motion carried.
You got 3 votes, right? In favor of tabling?
Yes.
yes.
Yeah, okay. Yep. That passes.
As well. Next issue on the applicant Jennifer Saraceno, Linda DiNardo regarding the Arena Street. I think we had gentlemen here to speak on that. Okay. Okay. Okay, before we get to that, was there any information that anyone from the traffic board had on that to present or discuss? Okay, I personally didn't receive anything. I don't know if other city offices have. I would invite you to speak on the issue then, sir.
Tom Griffin,
Thank you.
90 Arena Street. I've lived there for 40 years. Multiple cars, year round. Never got a ticket. This past winter, I got my first ticket on that street. If you're familiar with the arena, it's the boulevard in the middle. It goes up like a Y by Ben Franklin. A lot of traffic. Mostly residents have been there 40 or more years. 50-50, I'll say. I don't know what changed. I'm not sure what changed. I park there year round. My neighbors have. All of a sudden this winter, multiple people got tickets. I came in here and they gave me this, which I'd never received that before, but I did have a neighbor probably 20, 25 years ago, said he did get a ticket, came down, had it dismissed because there was really no logical place to park on that arena.
So I know the orange cards are issued by the police department as a matter of,
This
Pub-
is when
public
I came in
notice.
to get my ticket paid. So I was going in to dispute it. And the lady there said, you know, here, take this, sign the bottom here. So I signed it, probably shouldn't have signed it because it gave all the instructions on how you're supposed to do the alternate street parking. That wasn't really what I was down to. I was down to basically to dispute this ticket because for 40 years, the arena hasn't been on that. 25 years ago, my neighbor did get a ticket brought in, had it dismissed because I thought that the arena street was on the list,
exempt list you're referring to?
right? So I have it. So the last time it was updated was 21. It says alternate new list, post date 11/29/2021. So this does get updated. I guess my other neighbor that I talked to said that she thought the arena was on this already for many years. Otherwise, we'd have been getting a lot of tickets.
So Sergeant Mucic advised me that the arena street is not on the exempt list of streets for alternate side parking. I don't have any past lists to counter what you believe to be the issue or the posted list of streets. As far as enforcement action, there's different reasons depending on snowfall or at the request of DPW. There may be at times there's vehicles in violation, they're not ticketed. I'm not sure
40
why.
years.
Well, I can't speak to, what enforcement was or wasn't done there over the years. It seems as over the course of the number of years alternate street parking has been in place that there would be enforcement.
I did ask the lady that I brought the ticket into if there were other tickets that I wasn't aware of. She said none have been given out on the arena.
Okay. Well,
I'm sure there's records of that. Probably a record of the one that was dismissed 25 years ago or whenever
okay,
that was implemented.
okay. So I know there was a series of snowfalls this year. I don't know if it was in response to requests from DPW or, what brought about that specific enforcement action. I can only state what the streets that are posted is what the officers would be directed to enforce or take action on.
Okay, how do I get the arena added to this, or how does our neighborhood get it added?
To be exempt from alternate side
Yeah.
parking?
How
You-
to get it added to this list, because it has been. But apparently it was my neighbor who I spoke to said that she thought that it was on this list previously. It's the first time I've actually looked at this list.
Okay. So correct me if I'm wrong, that would have to go before the traffic board, or would that be, does council approve that list each year? Traffic board? So you could make an application to the traffic board for request for any street or specific street or portion of a street.
I think, didn't I do that with this thing? I think all our neighbors filled these out, sent them, or filled them out online. Some of them may have brought them in.
Fill them out online?
I
Okay,
did,
okay.
and I had a lot more of them.
I know I suggest to my constituents when they reach out to me about traffic issues. If we had talked, I would have told you this, to send, there's a downloadable PDF version. And then I try to make sure that I can circulate it. I don't get access when you do the online form.
Who does?
Unless, I believe the deputy mayor who is out on leave at the moment. And I was assuming Secretary.
The planning department does.
In the planning
What
department.
was the explicit request that you requested that it be exempted from alternate side parking? Or did you just request a review?
No, I want to continue to be exempt from alternate street parking.
Okay, we can put that on the agenda
It's
for
a
the April
one-way
meeting.
street. There's been several comments where I've seen some of the options were to park on the median, which really doesn't make sense. To get from one side to the other, you're going about six traffic lanes from one side to the other. You're coming down off the hill off of an S curve, which is difficult to see traffic coming down. You've got elderly people on the street that would have a difficult time maneuvering from one side to the other in a timely manner. Who reads these?
Those come into the deputy mayor and they get distributed. Obviously, there's been sort of a glitch in that because of that person's absence. But these matters that were presented today that didn't have an applicant here can be tabled to the April meeting and voted on at that point.
Okay, because this one was supposed, I was out of town last month, and this was supposed to be addressed then.
This
And
month's meeting was canceled due to the passing of firefighter J.R. Gaudette. The city meetings were canceled,
I
so
apologize.
it was tabled from that month to this month.
Okay. So anyways, we'll see this next month.
April 10th.
April 10th.
And if you want to email me directly, I'm happy to come and talk and work with you anytime between now and then.
Sure. Are you available right after this? Haven't met you before.
I'm gonna run and get you my business card and I'll be
Okay,
right
very
back.
good. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. So that will be tabled until the April 10th meeting.
And is that, who reads these documents?
Normally, they're distributed to the board members before the meeting.
Everybody here would read that?
Well, voting members, yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And,
Thank you.
Just so you know, the alternate side ends on Saturday. Alternate side ends on this Saturday.
I know that. That's why I kind of wanted to come here before, I forgot about it till next year, right? So it's, so I have multiple vehicles, so I'm continuing to, move them in and out, and a lot of my neighbors rent, so they have to manipulate their vehicles also to go from one side to the other. And some of them are elderly, and I've seen different, some have actually parked out in the median. I don't know how that would affect traffic flow. You got school buses going by there, and everybody goes up, teachers up to the parking area by Ben Franklin. So that's a major activity up to there. Okay, very good. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
We do need a vote on that motion to table.
I'm sorry. So looking for a motion to table to the April meeting. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carried. Okay, next issue applicant BMTS. It's also regarding the Neal Riverside Drive traffic signal timing causing delays in traffic during morning shift change at Lord's Guthrie Hospital.
So this was brought up by the Broome County Security Division to Broome County Traffic Safety Board, and Broome County Traffic Safety Board reached out to me, so that's why it's a BMTS agenda item. I had sent this information to the city. Their concern, or the complaints I believe that they're hearing, are that the traffic light is on flash until 7 a.m. and that from 6:40, 6:45 to 7 a.m. is when those shift workers who start at 7 are arriving, and it does get congested at that intersection. And the request was to potentially take a look at that time period before 7 to see if you thought it warranted turning the traffic signal on earlier than 7 a.m. instead of having it flash until right at 7 because of the shift arrival.
I actually misread this email and this has already been taken care of.
Great.
So the
Did you
timing,
turn the?
I changed the timing to an hour earlier. It goes off a flash 1 hour earlier now. If that needs to be corrected or changed, I can do that too if we want to vote a different way. I just misread the email and just got it done immediately.
That was their concern. I don't know if there was any other concerns of doing that, but that would most likely have fixed their problem.
I don't think the police department has any issue with the timing there. There is congestion, but if that rectifies it, will be BMTS notified your complaint then, or the county traffic board?
We'll let them know, is that what you're saying? That it's
Yes.
been changed? Yeah, yep.
Do we need to vote to support that change in perpetuity?
Look for a motion to notify the complaining party through the county traffic board that that situation's been addressed and rectified to our belief.
Motion?
Second.
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, motion approved. Next applicant is Camo Garapedian regarding North Griswold Street. Request to make the east side of the street no parking zone. Is that individual here? Is there any discussion or information from traffic board regarding that matter?
I have an email here from the mayor's office to provide some context for the traffic board request regarding no parking on North Griswold Street. City's working to support CMP, the Canadian-based business, as they undergo potential expansion in Binghamton for manufacturing, spurred somewhat by the tariffs. Right now, this area serves an unofficial parking for tractor trailers for large lengths of time, making it difficult for CMP to receive some deliveries or feel confident configuring their manufacturing and logistics inside the plant if these trucks continue to be a problem. The trucks and trailers are not CMP related. This truck parking has also led to a deterioration of the road over the years, which we believe has required maintenance. A long-term plan may be for the discontinuation of the street, but this no parking is a short-term fix.
Any other discussion, comments?
I just can relate with that. I've seen trucks drop trailers, take off for days at a time. It's not a truck stop.
I did go out and review that area personally myself. For years, trucks have parked there. I guess I mistakenly assumed that they were related to what was Universal Instruments or the new company operating off that site. It's never been a complaint to the police department that I know of. So the police department has no objection to posting that. There was some signage DPW is probably going to need to review. Further south, there's a signage posted as per the fire marshal for no parking area. I think it's for access to the railroad tracks for the rail yard there where there's chemical container vehicles and rail cars. Once the foliage comes out, that's going to be not visible. So if that signage is valid and still active, that should be cleared away so that even the company operating there now doesn't put any apparatus or storage there. It's kind of off into a wooded section. I think the overgrowth has just taken over there over the years. Any other discussion or comments?
Just mention that I did receive this email from the mayor. He sent it to all of traffic board. And I did share it with Councilman Dundon, who's the councilman for that area, and he did not send me any questions or comments on it.
Okay, thank you. Based on that, I guess I would look for a motion to post no parking as requested on that section of North Griswold Street to facilitate business operations there. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion's carried. Next issue is from Barbara Mullen of 46 Riverside Drive, requesting review of alternate side parking rules and request for handicap parking. Is Barbara Mullen present? Please, we'll hear from you.
So my name is Barbara Mullen and my office is at 46 Riverside Drive. I filed this application about a year ago and then did not really know about showing up here. I don't think it's really clear in the PDF or the written that, you know, it's recommended that if you're filing an application for a change that you show up and present your case. So fortunately, I spoke with the city council members who helped encourage me to come. So 46 Riverside Drive is a corner building with Chapin. Hi, neighbor. And of course, we're on the two-way side of Chapin. And I do agree that there's so many more cars because there are so many more. Maybe most of the houses probably had one or two when they were strictly residential. And now because many of the homes in that area now have 3, 4, 5, 6 students living in them, then they also have 3, 4, 5, 6 cars that come with the residents. So specific to our area, we have on the even side of the street, we have 2 handicap spaces for our clients. And the practice is made up of 6 psychotherapists, 1 nurse practitioner, and then a licensed massage therapist. So during most of the year, when we don't have alternate side of the street parking, there's a handicap space in front of the property. Which on Chapin, which obviously is utilized quite often because we also have not only people with disability, but also elderly people who have a need. So one of the suggestions we're making is that when there is alternate side of the street parking, it probably would be appropriate that on the odd side of the street, there would also be a handicap space. So that's one thing. Then many of us actually work till anywhere from 6 to 7:30 in the evening. And some of us work on the hour and some of us work on the half hour. So at 5 o'clock during alternate side of the street parking time, it's a challenge because do we leave our office and go and move our car? Do we tell our clients, oh, park on this side of the street or park on that side of the street? It creates a lot of confusion as to, we can't really leave our office. We're in the middle of a session or a massage session, or we can't tell our clients, put your clothes back on and go outside and move your car. So what we're suggesting is and asking for is an exemption from the corner of Riverside and Chapin to Ayers. And we were wondering if it would be a consideration if that exemption could exist between, say, 8 a.m. and 8 p.m. and then in the evening from 8 at night till 8 in the morning, alternate side of the street parking would be back in play. So that if it snows during the night, the plows can come through, but during the day when the office is active. The other thing is, when there is snowfall, which we did have a few times this year, and they have alternate side of the street parking, people are having to park so far down the street, including people with handicapping conditions, because number one, there's no handicap space, and number two, there are other people that utilize the parking on in that area. So that's and then I want to know where I paid my ticket, because the other day, the brand new spanking ticket person went a little crazy and gave everybody a ticket, which is fine. I mean, I understand that, but it's like 3 tickets and our clients are getting tickets and we're, trying to, and I don't mind, I don't pay this, but I doubled it because I didn't do it fast
For
enough.
clarification, they're getting tickets during that window of that
No, they're getting ticketed, these were ticketed, at this was 6:20, so it was, we were, still at work and you're like, and actually it's, we didn't get ticketed all year long, so I'm not really complaining about that. I've only had a ticket one other time in 3 years I've been there. But it just, so, any questions?
I believe I remember that what you applied for it last year and it was denied, I think, due to the snow removal challenges. But I'm not,
I never got word of
No.
that, so, no, I never heard, no. So. And I didn't know that you perhaps have a stronger case when you actually come and see you folks, so I'm really glad that I was encouraged to come this time. I don't can't really park on Riverside because that's not I have spent some time this year parking across the street on the other side of the other side of Riverside, Chapin, going towards the river, but it's not the easiest place to cross the street either. It's pretty heavily trafficked, there's just a lot of traffic. And and our primary concern is during those hours of the day that we are actually at work.
I don't know of any other situations where there's deviation from the alternate side, time switch over, for a particular period in order to accommodate your business clients or your patients. If you have, in your request, did you frame it out with those specifics as you outlined here today?
No, I didn't. I asked for straight up alternate side exemption from Riverside to Ayers, but I thought, well, maybe we could have a compromise if that would be helpful to the DPW. And, we don't want to make it difficult for DPW to get the job done. Who knows how much snow we'll have next year? I mean, it's so random anymore, but.
Right.
So I don't know who saw my actual application. If anybody here.
I did not. And obviously the spirit is to facilitate snow removal and for, general safety to the street. Sometimes those specifications might make it more confusing for your patients or parkers in that area where it can just create a bigger
Oh,
problem.
yeah,
So
I
that's,
can understand that. I mean, that's why I went for the straight exemption, but I just thought in the, spirit of compromise. But otherwise, I'll be happy if you could just put a handicapped across the street and then from Riverside Drive to Ayers, have an exemption, and that would be great.
do you have concern that posted, I'm not sure how many of your clients or patients or collectively from your partners in that group would be requiring that a handicap parking spot versus would it be limiting parking more so when you're not seeing patients that would require that? I don't know if you really can speak to that as far as actual
Well,
statistics or as far as what you're requesting.
I mean, seemingly it makes sense to me that if you have on one side of the street 2 handicap parking spaces and then demand by law that for several months of the year, November to the March 15th, that you can't park on that side of the street, then you would think that you would have to have at least one parking space across the street that would allow for a handicapped person to park. Especially when it's during the snow removal time, which means that naturally it's a little bit more dangerous to be, right? There's snow, ice,
Sure.
there's more ice this year than there was snow, but it's also very rubbly right now, so you might want to look into that.
So you mentioned there's 2 on one side.
Mhm.
So would it make sense to put 1 on each side and then?
Yeah, we usually don't have 2 handicap, but definitely, take 1 over and we'll put it across the street. So, I mean, that seems to make some sense.
Okay.
And then,
Possible, I guess.
I'm sorry?
I'm looking over at our traffic enforcement. Is that kind of a thing, like?
I think it
doable?
would be, I would prefer our traffic division to go out and survey that scene and see, lines of sight and the intersection distance to corner and whatnot, so it would be safe before I'd be comfortable just saying, to change
Yeah,
it directly.
absolutely.
Um,
And then, I know I was on the agenda on the February meeting. And I was told when I actually made the application that there would be a sort of a study done so that, and I don't know if that actually happened, but it would have been taken place while we were on the alternate side of the street during this season.
mhm.
So if a study had been done, then you would have seen in the day-to-day what the parking situation looked like. I think as of Saturday, we'll be in a whole different situation, but we were hoping to address it this winter so that perhaps next winter it could be resolved.
Okay. Then I think it would be appropriate to seek a motion to direct the traffic division to go out and review that location, and they could consult with engineering. They're not here today, but if there's any concerns for what it is you're requesting or how that might affect that traffic pattern, that parking pattern, that intersection and corner.
So is that going to be, you're going to be assessing whether or not the handicap spot is appropriate and safe? That's one.
Correct.
But it's going to be difficult then to perhaps do the alternate side assessment because that's over.
Right. I think overall, though, they can make an assessment of where the legal posted parking is now and where that would be affected by alternate side or alternate side with special provisions for handicap parking, or where that should be placed in relation to the
Right. Oh,
parking.
yeah. But does that mean that you won't necessarily be making a decision about from Riverside to Ayers exempting the area from alternate side?
I think it's actually easier to assess if the vehicles are parked on both sides. And if we can do measurements while the vehicles are parked on both sides, then if they're in.
Okay, all right, that'd be great.
So-
That'd be really good. And I do go to Leroy Street because Paul's Pizzas are there. It's quite often.
I've been there.
And also, so, I have to concur with the former speaker about, the issues around pulling out onto Leroy is, anymore. It's not right this week, though. This week's been great, I don't know, but the fact that the infrastructure was not, was built for residential, it's got to be a lot challenging for the city. I agree.
So
Huh?
I was gonna make the motion that was requested to send traffic division to look at that area for both alternate side of the street discussion as well as the possibility of moving one of the two handicap signs across the street so that if alternative side of the street continues, that there will be at least one handicap parking space.
All right, and even if it doesn't, it's not a bad idea to have a park.
We got to
handicap
get a
on
second
sides.
on that motion.
Okay,
Okay. So there's a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, so motion's carried. So that assessment will be done.
Okay.
And then we'll know better when that's complete. As far as your ticket, you can go to the second floor to the treasurer's office and pay that ticket on the second floor of this building.
thank you very much.
Thank you.
Just to clarify, does the board want this on the agenda for the next meeting, for a vote, the next meeting after you conduct your assessment?
I would say yes.
Does that mean I'm coming back?
You're welcome to. The vote.
Will I
and
be
determine-
notified?
The vote and determination would be made whether you're here or not. You're certainly welcome to be here, and
Will I be notified?
you would be notified either way.
Will I be notified that I'm on the agenda? That's the question.
The agenda will be posted ahead of the meeting, but if you leave your contact information, we can give you a call or an email.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
The next meeting has been scheduled for April 10th, 2025 at 9:15 a.m. right back here.
Okay, thank you.
That completes new business. Moving on to traffic board determinations. First applicant was DPW and Binghamton Police regarding Duffy Court request to prohibit on-street parking. Did you have anything on that specifically, Mr. Martinez?
It was a holdover from the last time it was on the agenda. I
Aye.
believe someone's gonna reach out to the property manager and review resident comments.
I believe Ms. Hyman wanted us to wait and she wanted to get some more information, feedback from the residents. Obviously, she's not here, so I would say we probably table this one more time.
Okay, so look for a motion to table.
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
A motion's carried. Next matter, applicant was BMTS regarding Leroy Street and the Leroy Street Road Safety Assessment request for review there. Have anything from the BMTS on that?
At the last meeting, Lee gave a presentation of the process that was, that happened to develop this report, and the draft was distributed to all members. So I believe at this point it would be for you guys to vote and accept this as complete.
Do I have a motion or
I was gonna
seeking? Oh,
say I
I'm
wanted
sorry,
to-
this discussion?
Yeah. sorry. I wanted to say, so I'm looking at some old reports and I was saying before that, I was really happy that there was, kind of this checklist kind of, portion to the report that, when I looked at the old reports, I didn't see. So I think I wanted to say thank you to BMTS for, improving the way they outline reports. I think this is going to be an easier way for the city to track the actually implementing plans and suggestions than kind of prior reports. Thank you.
Any other discussion? Okay, at this time, then I would look for a motion to accept the Leroy Street Road Safety Assessment.
Motion?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, motion carried. That completes the traffic board determinations. Is there any other business before the board or any other matters for discussion, review?
For one that's coming for next, I had a 6th district member reach out to me about the crossing at Ivanhoe over to the Greenway. They're a parent and they would like their kid to be able to walk to MacArthur. Most of that walk would be on the Greenway, which would be nice and safe. But they're concerned about that crossing there. So that will be on the agenda for next meeting because we met just under a week before this meeting. So I just want to throw that out there in case anyone could go and poke around so that we could have a more meaningful discussion on it next month.
If it's regarding the crosswalk, we're just starting to get the paint out. I think we're starting later today. If it gets warm enough, we'll start painting crosswalks. I know that one took a beating this winter and it's definitely on our list of things to get to.
Yeah, I think they're hoping for a raised crosswalk or something, because right now I guess there's a flashing light there, but it still doesn't make people stop. Children.
Okay, any other new business? No other new business, then I would make or request a motion for adjournment.
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion's carried. That concludes the meeting.